And this is Speaking of Sports. Thanks for dialing us up. Make us a part of your day. You know, you can go to the Google Play Store and find our app. You can also have things sent directly to your email inbox. We got the podcast thing going on demand. Boy, I tell you what, lots of ways for you to get what we got. Right now, let's get what the boss has got. It's the Professor. Rick Horrow joins us on Sunday mornings. And speaking of sports, to talk about the business, the marketing, the endorsement issues that are going on in the sports world. Good morning, Professor.
Happy Easter to you and yours at 5:30 in the morning in L.A. So a reasonable time out here.
Yes, you know, I'll be out there planting my eggs in the yard here in just another hour or so. But let's get into the business of sports here. There's been a big story in the baseball world about Adam LaRoche and his 14-year-old son, Drake. And what's going to happen, you know, is he coming back? Is he not welcome? But apparently now it may have drifted into a new area, and that's the sponsorship area. Are there some sponsors upset about this?
Well, but here's the deal. McDonald's, Pepsi, Great Clips, Check Tutoring Services, they've got a lot of sponsors, the White Sox, to cater to young millennials, kids, etc., Kids Club, Family Sundays, Youth Baseball Support. The Players Association and the baseball administration itself at the league level has a major Boys and Girls Club of America relationship. So the bottom line is a league-wide policy may be important. Certainly, this went way out of proportion. I don't know who's right and who's not. Players obviously very upset at this, which it takes a lot to air stuff out of the clubhouse, as we know. And so the bottom line is the White Sox need to be very careful about their brand. And if a free agent has been told X as a condition of signing, then it becomes a bigger issue than just a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, indeed it does. Let's get to the business of baseball in Cuba. Historic week this week for both nations as well as Major League Baseball. What's the overall takeaway from this historic weekend in Cuba with the Rolling Stones and everything?
Well, you know, first sitting president in 88 years to go. Rolling Stones now, all of the golf course developers not too far behind. Now the Major League Baseball really difficult time starts because everybody wants to do something. But now the economics of you bring a spring training team in, you play games, you play regular season games. What about the stadium itself? How about minor league baseball? How about Major League Baseball down the road? Clearly the infrastructure in Havana and Cuba has not caught up with where it is here, but the economics and the passion of baseball have. So that's the next step.
Rick Horrow is our guest. We talk the business of sports with Rick every week. March Madness is obviously a huge success. We're looking forward to the Final Four now. But if you're going to the Final Four, you're going to see something new this year, the 2016 NCAA March Madness Music Festival, right?
Well, the beautiful thing about this is a couple of things. One is sponsorship deals, which are really important. Mm-hmm. So you got your major sponsors. You got Capital One, Coke, and AT&T with a whole bunch of bands Saturday, Sunday, and Monday appealing first to the new millennials. And second, really more important, is half the fans are really going to be upset on Saturday night. And you got to buy the strips for Saturday and Monday. Now, the winners try to buy as many losers tickets as are available. It's a great free market lesson on the steps of the stadium in Houston. But not everybody leaves town. So this is a chance for people to hear some music and forget about their team's terrible losses Saturday afternoon at night.
Yeah, for the very first one, they got some name bands, Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, Jason Derulo. I also see that Maroon 5 is on there, Flo Rida, Pitbull. You got a bunch of big names on there, so it sounds like it's going to be another big wrinkle thrown into the Final Four party in Houston coming up in a couple of weeks. Cool stuff. Nike is now, boy, I'll tell you what, Nike wants to take over the world. I'm sure that they would love to have that little Nike swish on every single uniform, and they're making their way in the NCAA, aren't they?
Yeah. You know, they've got, first of all, from the top 16 seeds, they've got 9 of the 16 teams, or had, the ones that were left in the tournament. 14 Adidas total, up from 11. And Under Armour, 10, up from 6. So while Nike is making the big, normal Goliath push, Under Armour spending a lot more money, and obviously Adidas trying to hold their position. Now, my friend, here's what it means. What it means is that now every athletic director and department and every school has leverage that they never did before. And it means more money from the sneaker companies, big-time sneaker wars, more money for the programs, more money for smaller sports, more money for the Power Fives. Ultimately, we'll see more money to play one school against another when they recruit the kids by paying. Yeah, it's coming. And so where does it come from? It comes from the war chest of Adidas, Under Armour, and Nike. Watch for that.
Now, here's something really to watch for. The NFL owners got together not long ago in Florida earlier on in the week and talk about a number of things. Now, L.A. is not really off the plate because they're still trying to finalize things, but, they've pretty much settled things there. Now it's about the competition committee and some of the things that they're thinking about. They're thinking about some pretty major tweaks this year, aren't they?
Well, and they ended up trying to figure out how to avoid defining a catch. That's never going to happen. That two drunk people in a bar deciding what catches is more and more plausible every single year. Just have that be the rule. But the other issues are the throwing out of players after a couple of unsportsmanlike, also a couple of issues relative to equipment, and obviously the high-tech stuff, the gloves, the stick-em. You use a stick-em to pick up your piece of paper in studio. They need to do it at the NFL. And so the bottom line is this. They're tweaking competition committee. They made the 25-yard, 33-yard extra point permanent. And so for every one of these deals, there's less drama this year, even though the concussion CTE link will dominate the headlines for years to come. But the NFL means for a $25 billion a year aspirational business, there wasn't a whole lot of drama happening at Boca Raton, to be sure, last week.
Now, one of the big things on there is how to regulate the gloves that these players, so many players are wearing them now, especially wide receivers who are making these one-handed catches like Odell Beckham Jr. and people like that. That's one of the things they're going to have to look at. But the other one is the kickoff thing. Now, the kickoff thing is surprising to me because they're talking about making touchbacks out to the 25, and immediately people are saying, well, the strategy then becomes try and drop the ball in between the 5 and the 10 and make them run it back. Isn't this kind of the opposite effect of what they're going for?
Yeah, but that's exactly why these rules, at least remember, the 25-yard extra point was a one-year experiment that they liked, so they made permanent. This will be a one-year experiment because there are a lot of unintended consequences of all of this stuff. I like to see that, frankly, and I know we're supposed to make the game safer. How about the old XFL rule for those 4 weeks that it lasted? You put the ball in the 50,
let
but you got to run toward it.
Right.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. That there won't be any concussions in that. No, not at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Rick Horrow's our guest. FIFA is in the news this week. Apparently, they're reporting a $122 million loss for 2015. Half of that is their legal woes. Do we even believe these numbers? They don't seem like people you can take at face value.
No. They probably lost more money than they admitted. But their total expenses, by the way, how's this? $1.3 billion in expenses. $62 million spent on legal fees recently. I'd say it's more like 10 times that. So they've got to change their image. They've got to either be transparent or look transparent. That's where the PR fees come in. The only thing I like about this is, as a lawyer, the more money for lawyers, the better the world is. No, I'm kidding. But the bottom line of the FIFA organization is, with the new president, pressure is on him very quickly to morph the organization into something different than what Sepp Blatter did.
Moving to the NBA, the Golden State Warriors look like they're right in the exact position they want to be to try and get that Bulls record. They did drop a game in San Antonio on Saturday night. As a matter of fact, it's been a long time since they've won a game down there. And then San Antonio last night basically surrendered that best record in the league to the Warriors by sending basically none of their starters into the game. But the question I want to ask about the Golden State Warriors and that record, how exactly would that record translate into dollars?
Well, the first thing they've got to do is figure out how to break it, and it looks pretty good as far as the media covering 72, 73, 74. And then you have lawyers and marketing people who will be working on what does it mean to be best ever. Do you trademark it? Can the NBA allow you to sell it? Will there be knockoffs? Can you change your logo? Can you have T-shirts after the season? You're obviously not going to do anything about that until the playoffs because anything you do sounds presumptuous, and total number of wins is not the issue. It's regular season. So at the end of the day, look for the lawyers again to try to figure out what they legally can do and how they start marketing it. I suspect
good stuff.
Will be a
good
great
stuff as
over
always.
the summer.
Thank you, Professor. We'll talk to you next week.